Everybody come see us on tour. We'll be in Columbus, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.
Well, you got your first taste of less than horrible news out of the Trump cabinet appointment sweepstakes here. Trump chooses Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence. This broke just a few minutes ago at this recording. Last minute segment here. President-elect Donald J. Trump on Wednesday chose Tulsi Gabbard, a former Democratic congresswoman who became one of his most enthusiastic backers, to serve as the Director of National Intelligence. Ms. Gabbard, a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve who served in Iraq, has been a longtime critic of the foreign policy establishment. Her nomination is another sign that Mr. Trump intends to give the top foreign policy jobs to supporters who are deeply skeptical of the effectiveness of U.S. military intervention abroad. Now, we use the New York Times. This was a last-minute thing. It just broke. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. This is another sign that Trump intends to buck foreign policy, the buck foreign policy orthodoxy. I must have missed the first sign. Yeah, I don't remember seeing a first pick. Yeah, what, Mike Huckabee was a real maverick there. Elise Stefanik, Marco Rubio. Who else exactly is really bucking the trend? Mike Waltz. Well, we'll get to all that later. But that's their editorial bent, not ours here at the Jimmy Dore Show. In a statement, Mr. Trump praised Ms. Gabbard and said she would bring a fearless spirit to the intelligence agencies and secure peace through strength. The statement announcing the nomination said she was a former Democrat who had joined the Republican Party because of President Trump's leadership and how he has been able... What's that?
Yeah, I don't think that's why.
Yeah.
They drove her out of the Democratic Party on a rail.
That's true. And how he has been able to transform the Republican Party, bringing it back to the party of the people and the party of peace. Plus, it's where the podcast money is. Along with John Ratcliffe, Mr. Trump's choice to lead the CIA, she would be a top intelligence advisor to the White House. She would oversee 18 spy agencies and would be responsible for preparing the president's daily brief, a written intelligence summary assembled each morning. Wow, that sounds like a pretty intense job. You got to write one of those every day? The same person oversees that every single day? That's like having a newspaper job.
They don't write it.
They oversee it. They have to put it together every day.
Editor-in-chief.
That's a lot of reports. In his first administration...
It's not as hard with a president who doesn't read it.
No, well, that's true, yes. A lot lower stakes, I suppose.
You can just pull stuff from Wikipedia.
Right, yeah, exactly. Wikipedia! In his first administration, Mr. Trump did not often read the written summary. There you go. But he held in-person intelligence briefings often twice a week or more, engaging his briefers on world affairs, at least on topics that interested him. Ms. Gabbard left the Democratic Party after a failed run for the presidential nomination in 2020. Her subsequent enthusiasm for Mr. Trump made her a celebrity among his supporters. Yeah, this is definitely like the first MAGA pick. And then breaking just before the show, Matt Gaetz has also been tapped for Attorney General. So that would be the second real MAGA pick. Those are really the first two. Besides that, it's all been pretty much a good old boys and girls club.
Yeah. Li Fang literally just dropped an article kind of positive about Matt Gaetz. We'll cover that tomorrow. Wasn't enough time today. Certainly Matt Taibbi is the big winner here. We can assume that the IRS won't be coming to his house with Tulsi in charge of intelligence now. They're personal friends. So he can write whatever he wants now without worrying about an audit.
There you go. Yeah. That's winning.
That's winning.
She was briefly considered by Mr. Trump as a possible running mate before he winnowed the field down to other finalists. Ms. Gabbard helped Mr. Trump prepare his attacks against Vice President Kamala Harris while he was preparing for his September debate. A spokesman for Mr. Trump and Ms. Gabbard was picked to help with the preparations, in part because of her 2019 attacks on Ms. Harris during the Democratic primary debates. Ms. Gabbard attacked Ms. Harris in a July 2019 debate for enforcing marijuana laws. That's more New York Times bent. Oh, she attacked her for enforcing the law, right?
Well, that's how they do it. That's how they get the worms in your brain.
Now unreasonable. Yeah. That's what that was about. That was about she attacked her for enforcing the law, as if Tulsi was the bad guy
Yeah,
in that
she was the
exchange.
bad guy.
Really,
Yeah, and
for those,
they're the same ones who will hashtag BLM all day and all night.
yeah, right,
Right?
exactly,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
For those for whom it's not fresh in your mind, that exchange is one of the all timers where
Yeah.
Tulsi skewered her for locking up black men for nonviolent drug offenses and holding them past their sentences, or as the New York Times would say, enforcing marijuana laws. Right,
Yes.
unreasonable person that Tulsi is. Libs of TikTok's pretty happy about this. Hey, finally, this is the first pick that the MAGA you sort of Twitterverse could really get behind, could really brag about, right? I mean, they were very happy when he spiked the Pompeo nomination. Of course, that was not in celebration of someone who got a position, but rather someone who was denied one. This one, they finally get to breathe a little sigh of relief. They put Tulsi Gabbard on a terror watch list. Now she's director of national intelligence, the biggest FU to the deep state swamp. So, Libs of TikTok very happy about this. Meet your new DNI, Tulsi Gabbard, says MJ Truth Ultra. She was one of the only ones at the time saying there were U.S.-funded biological labs working on deadly pathogens in Ukraine. Warmongers like Mitt Romney vilified her and tried to destroy her for saying there were biolabs in Ukraine. He called her a traitor. This might be a little less fresh in people's minds, so we have a video here.
Here are the undeniable facts. There are 25 to 30 U.S.-funded biolabs in Ukraine. According to the U.S. government, these biolabs are conducting research on dangerous pathogens. Ukraine is in an active war zone with widespread bombing, artillery, and shelling, and these facilities, even in the best of circumstances, could easily be compromised and release these deadly pathogens. Now, like COVID, these pathogens know no borders. If they are inadvertently or purposely breached or compromised, they will quickly spread all throughout Europe, the United States, and the rest of the world, causing untold suffering and death. So in order to protect the American people, the people of Europe, the people around the world, these labs need to be shut down immediately, and the pathogens that they hold need to be destroyed. Instead of trying to cover this up, the Biden-Harris administration needs to work with Russia, Ukraine, NATO, the UN to immediately implement a ceasefire for all military action in the vicinity of these labs until they're secured and these pathogens are destroyed.
You're muted.
I apologize about that. So Mitt Romney says Tulsi Gabbard is parroting false Russian propaganda. Her treasonous lies may well cost lives. That was in response to that video. Don't forget, this was March of 2022, which was just a few weeks after the Russia-Ukraine war officially began. Yeah, that's one more Mitt Romney take that aged like milk. Joe Walsh. Here's Joe Walsh, very unhappy about this. When you voted for Trump, you voted to put Tulsi Gabbard, a Russian asset, in charge of our nation's intelligence. That's what you voted for. Congratulations. You know, it's funny. Like, everybody's quiet until they have, news to break. Joe Walsh didn't have anything to say about all of these other picks that are right in his foreign policy lane, right? I mean, Mike Huckabee, ambassador to Israel, Marco Rubio. That's right in Joe Walsh's lane. Something like this happens all of a sudden. When you voted for Trump, you voted to put... Well, apparently you also voted to make Marco Rubio Secretary of State. If you're Joe Walsh, you got to be feeling like you dodged a bullet there, right? But very upset about this one.
Yeah. This is really the first good pick. In the end, she's kind of gotten on board with the Zionist train, which apparently we haven't been able to find footage of it, but there have been tweets going around saying in her 2020 campaign, she actually called Israel's presence in the West Bank an illegal occupation and said that the U.S. should withhold aid, just like she long ran on Medicare for all, and now she advocates against it. So at this point, Tulsi was kind of a champion of the Bernie Sanders left. And now it's just hard. Hey, some people change their minds about their politics. It does not seem that way. It seems with Tulsi like the Democratic Party, because she challenged them, drove her out, and she realigned her positions. because she wanted to stay in politics, and that was the way to make new friends. So at this point, it's very difficult to know what she actually believes, what principles she actually has, whether she has any principles that she won't compromise. Do I think it's a step in the right direction for people in our space? Are we all kind of breathing, let's be honest, a little easier with the Trump election? Sure. But at the same time, given that he's staffing his cabinet with a lot of war hawk maniacs, Tulsi remains to be seen where she is in regards to that. Okay, I have no doubt that we're going to be able to gender people any way we want with Trump in the White House. Do they come down harder on pro-Palestine podcasts like ours than the Harris and Biden administration did or would have in another term? We don't know yet.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that, obviously, pardon me, remains to be seen. And I think you look at a pick like this, and I think the only real takeaway you could say at this point is it could have been worse, right? Definitely could have been much worse.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt about it. This is the first pick where you're kind of like, yeah, okay. There was a question of whether, given his history, he was just going to take all of his surrogates and throw them under the bus. Right. So now, okay, he gave her a real job. He didn't put her in charge of a fake department like he did with Vivek and Elon. We'll get to that later. He didn't make up, hey, you are the new head of the Department of Slippers. Yeah. You're going to be in charge of all the White House slippers, all the slippers in the White House. That's your purview.
You're the new treasurer of liberal tears.
You're to collect them in a mug every day to salt
keep an
my
inventory.
Coffee. Keep it. Yeah. So he didn't do that. That's a real job. It's a powerful job. What is he going to do with RFK? Now, we always want to be fair. You would have a hell of a time getting RFK through the Senate, even with Republican control of the Senate. Like, that is an argument for giving him a made-up job or health czar, something like that. I mean, you can have some kind of bully pulpit influence, but is he going to try to put RFK at the FDA? Is he really going to do that at the EPA? Those are the most obvious places to put him.
Well, he specifically said he didn't want him for the EPA. He says, leave the oil alone. That's what he said. He said,
did he really say that?
Oh, yeah, no. He basically said on stage, he said on stage multiple times, I don't like his environmental positions, so leave the oil alone. I don't want you touching the oil. So, no. Well, he got Zeldin for EPA. So, no, RFK was never going to be EPA. But this was the first sort of like amorphous maverick pick that he brought in. Because, look, even a guy like Gates at AG now, he's MAGA. He's not in the same pool as Elon, RFK, Tulsi. Like, basically, Trump had this cadre of former liberals, of former Democrats who went to bat for him. This is the first, and my guess would be the only one to get an official job. Whatever this Doge thing is, we can litigate that. But this is the first one. Right. This is the first position that anyone's ever heard of before that went to one of these sort of maverick types.
Look, people who held on to Dogecoin all these years since it last blew up, they're winning. They are getting tired of winning right now.
That's true.
Hey, have you heard about the new superfood that seems almost too good to be true? It's got thousands upon thousands of 5-star reviews and life-changing testimonials from users. It's Armra Colostrum. I'm actually taking it. Colostrum is the first nutrition we receive in life, and it's an exclusive source of all the essential nutrients we need in order to thrive. Armra Colostrum is a proprietary concentrate of bovine colostrum that harnesses over 400 functional nutrients to strengthen your immune barriers against harmful particles from the environment that can trigger inflammation and make you sick. Colostrum has been known to strengthen immunity, ignite metabolism, fortify gut health, promote hair growth and skin radiance, and power fitness performance and recovery. Amra's grass-fed bovine colostrum concentrate strengthens all 4 layers of your gut wall, where 80% of your immune cells are housed, and activates cellular health for your resilience and recovery. We've worked out a special offer for my audience. Get what? You get 15% off your first order. Go to tryarmra, that's TRYARMRA.com/Jimmy, and enter Jimmy to get 15% off your first order. That's TRYARMRA.com/Jimmy. Everybody, come see us on tour. We'll be in Columbus, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.